Genesis 30. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and she said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I'll die. And Jacob angered was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I in God's stead? Who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? She said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, that she may bear upon my knees, and I also may obtain children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore call she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With mighty wrestling have I wrestled with my sister, and have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left off bearing, she took Zilpah, her handmaid, and gave her to Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, Fortunate. And she called his name Gad. And Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me happy. And she's called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's hand mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken away my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son mandrakes. And Jacob came from the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in to me, for I have surely hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he laid with her that night, and God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, God hath given me hire, because I have gave my handmaid to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bare a sixth son to Jacob. And Leah said, God hath endowed me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him six sons. And she called his name Sebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb, and she conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, saying, Jehovah add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel hath borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto my own place, and into my country. Give me my wives and my children, from whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service wherewith I have served thee. And Laban said unto him, If now I have found favor in thy eyes, tarry, for I have divined that Jehovah hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wage, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle have fared with me. For it was little which thou hast before I came, and it hath increased unto a multitude, and Jehovah hath blessed thee whithersoever I turned. And now when shall I provide for my own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me aught. It is, if thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed thy flock and keep it. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence every speckled and spotted one, and every black one among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me hereafter, when thou shalt come concerning my hire that is before thee. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the sheep, that if found with me, shall be counted stolen. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he goats that were ring streaked, and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white in it, and all the black ones among the sheaves, and gave them into the hand of his son. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob. And Jacob fled the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took him rods of fresh polary and of the almonds of the plain tree, and peeled white streaks in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rod which he had peeled over against the flock in the gutters and the water troughs, where the flock came to drink. And they conceived when they came to drink, and the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs and set the face of the flocks towards the ring streak, and all the black in the flock of Laban, and he put his own droves apart, and put them not unto Laban's flock. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger of the flock did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the flock, and the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flock were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob. And the man increased exceedingly, and had large flocks, and maidservants, and maidservants, and men servants, and camels, and asses. Genesis 30 is brutal and holy at the same time. It shows what happens when the covenant family tries to force God's promise by human control, and it shows that God still advances his plan by mercy, not because the people are pure. There are two big movements in the chapter: the building of Israel through conflict births, the building of Israel material footing through conflict labor. Rachel barrenness exposes the idol of motherhood and the limits of human power. Genesis 30, verse 1 through 2. Rachel cries, "Give me children, or else I die." It's not just sadness, it's an identity collapse. In that culture, barrenness carries shame and insecurity. Spiritually, it reveals how a good desired children can become an ultimate demand, a functional God. Jacob responds to sharp, "Am I in God's stead?" He writes his right theology, the womb is God's domain, but he wronged pastorally. He answers pain with anger rather than tenderness. What God is saying, life is not produced by pressure, threats, envy, or manipulation. You can't bully a blessing into existing, and you can't ask a human to be God for you. Surrogacy by Bilhan and Silpa shows human solutions that multiply rivalry, not peace. Genesis 30, verse 3 to 13. Rachel repeats Sarah's earlier strategy. Genesis 16, "Give the handmaid to Jacob that I may obtain children." This is important. Scripture records it, but it does not celebrate it. It's describing a broken system where women are competing for worth. Servants are used as instruments. Marriage becomes a battlefield. The names tell you in the theology of the heart. Dan, good. God has judgment. Vindicated me. Rachel interprets a son as a legal validation. Napitali, wrestling. She admits it. This has become combat with her sister. Gad, good fortune. Leah speaks in the language of luck/fortune. Notice the spiritual drift. Asher equals happy/blessed. Public honor becomes the goal. Woman will call me happy. What God is saying, when you turn blessings into competition, relationships become weapons, and when love becomes a scoreboard, even gifts becomes fuel for envy. Also notice the irony. Rachel says she has prevailed, but she still doesn't have what her soul is truly craving: security and love. Winning against Leah doesn't heal Rachel. The Mandrake episode exposes superstition and the commodification of intimacy. Reuben finds mandrakes, a plant associated in the ancient world with fertility. Folks believes. Rachel asks for them. Leah replies with a line that is devastating. "Is it a small matter that thou hast taken away my husband?" Leah's reality. Rachel has the love. Leah has the children, but not the affection. Then Rachel trades a night with Jacob for the mandrakes. Jacob is treated like a commodity. Leah has to hire her husband for intimacy, and the text quietly delivers its verdict. And God hearkens unto Leah, not mandrake's work, not the deal work. God grants conception. So the Bible is undermining magical thinking. Fertility is not a technique to master, it's a gift God gives in His timing. Leah bears. Isaku connects to wages slash higher language. Subulian connected to honor slash dwelling language. She still hopes Jacob will finally dwell with her and a daughter, Dinah. What God is saying, stop treating life like a technology and people like tools. I am not manipulated by folk power, bargaining, or ritual tricks. I hear the affliction. God, remember Rachel, covenant mercy, not human striving. Genesis 30, verse 22 through 28. This is the theological summit. And God, remember Rachel in Scripture. Remember doesn't mean God forgot. It means God turned towards her with covenant intention, acting to fulfill His purpose. Then God hearkened to her and opened her womb. Rachel names her son Joseph, and he adds, may the Lord add. Joseph is not finally a baby. Joseph becomes a major instrument of preservation later. So God isn't only revealing Rachel's shame, He's positioning the future rescue of the family in famine. Well, God is saying, my timing is mercy, not neglect. I am the opener of the wombs, and I am weaving a deliverance bigger than you can see. Jacob wages in the flocks. God's blessing under an exploitative employer. Genesis 30, verse 25 through 36. After Joseph's birth, Jacob wants to go home. That's significant. Jacob arrives singles. The line is continuing. It's time to move towards the land of promise. Laban replies, I have the vine that Jehovah hath blessed me for thy sake. Even Laban, who is not walking in covenant faith, has to confess the truth. God's presence with Jacob spills over into the world around him. But then the negotiation shows what Laban is: calculating, controlling, trying to keep Jacob as his profit engine. Well, God is saying, my blessing can be evident even to unbelievers, but don't confuse God's blessing with the righteousness of the environment. You may be blessed in a place, but that is still unjust. The stripped rods, human strategy mixed with flawed beliefs, yet God is the real actor. Jacob uses peeled rods and selective breeding practices. In the ancient world, people believed visual stimulin could influence offspring. From a modern standpoint, that's not how genetics works. So what do we do with this? This text theological point is not copy this technique. The point is Jacob is still Jacob, a strategist and manipulator trying to outmaneuver. But the larger Genesis arcs, especially what reveals in the next chapter, makes clear God is the one who ultimately prospers Jacob, even through messy human methods, because God is keeping His promise from Bethel. I will be with thee, I will keep thee. So two truths stand together. Jacob is not yet fully purified. He still tries to secure blessings by cleverness. God is faithful anyway, protecting Jacob from the exploitative and establishing his household. What God is saying, I am the source of blessing, not your tricks, yet I will abandon you while I'm still transforming you. I can deliver you from injustice even as I discipline your souls towards integrity. What God is saying through Genesis 30, if you have to summarize God's message, here's in a few deep lines. To the barren and ashamed, I see you. Your worth is not your productivity. I remember you in my time. To the envious and competitive, to the envious and the competing, rivalry cannot heal emptiness. You can't build joy by defeating your sister. To the manipulators, Rachel, Leah, Jacob, Laban, all of them, my gifts are not seized, they are received. Stop turning people into tools to force outcomes. To the exploitive worker, I can prosper you in hostile systems, and I can also call you out of them. To the whole covenant line, my promise survived your dysfunction. I am building Israel not because you are clean, but because I am faithful. Genesis 30.